Hey music fans! As a roadie, I had this great opportunity to tour with all these bands. I wrote a book about my experiences on the road, and it was the #1 new release on Amazon and Bios, and it's now sold millions of copies on Kindle. I'm Joel Roadie, and this is my podcast, Party Like a Rock Star. Have we ever heard of a performer by the name of Dimash?
If I said yes, I'd be lying, but...
Yes, there's no lying on the Party Like a Rock Star podcast allowed. But after this episode, John won't have to lie. He can say he is very familiar with Dimash, and he has heard of him. So let's jump into this together, and let's see what John Mahon has to say about Dimash. If you haven't watched any of these episodes yet with John, John has worked for Elton John since the late 90s. He's done over 2,300 shows with Elton John as his percussionist.
Dimash. All right, cool.
So this is Dimash. Dimash is from Kazakhstan, and I think he's a very gifted musician and especially as a singer. So I choose the song regularly called SOS, which would arguably be his most well-known track. And some of the subscribers are like, quit doing the same track, but I love it. I love it. I love it. Anyway, when you were coming on, I just thought of this track. This is in his native language, which I think is really cool, but it's a song called Samaltau. Hope I didn't botch that up. It's from the Tokyo Jazz Festival, and I just wanted to try something different with you. If you like it, and I hope you do, as with the rest of these bands, it opens the door for you to want to listen to more of their catalogs and understand the performer better. So there you go. There's my spiel, but I think you'll really like this. I loved it. So let's give it a go.
Şakkayı tayağı hayran yelim artta kaldı. Adaskan ürüzünün aynan kız bürüyor. Kişişim parido, şahsı kelgin kerido, Osno endi saldırgan, onul tanını sarıdo. Samaltau kayran yeli şalkar kölü ne bolar saldat bolup aynan körgen günüm vay.
What'd you think?
Wow. Beautiful voice. I love the composition. I love the instruments, very different, instruments from the country. I'm not sure what that thing is, some kind of violin.
I don't know what it's called. I keep forgetting. They've told me a few times, the people on here, and it's just the coolest thing. I love that thing.
It's weird. Like it almost looks like it has like kind of rubber or gut strings or something like that. Yeah, that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I like it. It's not like a lute. But it's not really a violin either. It's very odd. It's like a cello-y kind of. I don't know. I've never seen anything like it. It was like a dish.
Yeah, it's really. I love the conviction of all of the performers, including the singer. I love the conviction. And I don't know why, but this song just resonates with me. I love it. It fills me up. I just think it's just this wonderful track.
What was that song called? Something about me.
Samaltau.
In English, do you know what that means?
I do not.
Yeah.
No, I
It'd be
don't.
nice to
I
know
can't put subtitles on these because we're not watching it on YouTube. We're watching on a different program. So people always say, play the subtitles. The one thing I have found is when I do have subtitles on the videos, I'm reading rather than listening more. And I actually kind of prefer not to have them. So it's aggravating. But I'll regularly go and I'll read the lyrics, especially if I just love something.
Yeah.
This track, it doesn't seem to be his most popular, but I really love it. And he sings in many languages. He's a very versatile. He plays as well. I mean, he's a really talented young man.
How old do you think he is?
Oh, Dimash is in his early 20s.
Yeah, I was going to say, looks really young.
He's a young guy. Yeah.
Beautiful vocal, like a really powerful, almost operatic voice.
Oh yeah, you have this one. He's kind of tame on his range. It's insane. It's
and
crazy.
Is his other music like more pop music, or
he does a bunch? He's covered Michael Jackson. He's done Queen, but then he'll do the song SOS. Then he does Adagio, which is the Canadian lady was singing initially in French. It's a French track. Really beautiful, really, really wonderful. You would have heard of her. It's not Celine Dion. I could say it's the other one, but she's a big name there. And he's really versatile. There's a lot going on. So, the hope on these is that it peaks a little something where you want to go and then later. Yeah. So it's nice. I'll regularly get people write to me like, hey, what was the third dude? And he'll type back. And even though it's funny, every now and then they won't like it at all, but they'll be like, what was that guy? And it's like, oh, you did like it, didn't you? So you never know. You never know.
Yeah, it was hard to say what they were. it's, the track, like the video was just so simple because it was I loved how it was just in that simple, beautiful little room like that.
It
But I
did, but
think
just three guys rocking out and then just doing what they do so well. Lara Fabian, that's the lady's name. Sorry, Lara Fabian
okay.
is
I mean,
Adagi.
it might have been, they probably had, it sounded like there's maybe some other track going on there along with it, what they were, playing along with. But it was, I'm very curious if they were actually playing some of that or some of it was overdubbed or whatever, because, it was pretty hard to fake that violin.
Yeah, and he uses these guys regularly. I've seen them in other stuff. And so they do perform on stage with him. I mean, I'm assuming they're the tip top dudes. This guy's very popular.
His dad. It's probably his dad.
I don't know if his parents are musicians. That's a good question. They do show up. I think his dad showed up in one of these competition videos at some point. So because he's a young man, and you brought it up, I'm going to ask you questions. So when I was doing my interviews, you were my very first interview. I was very rusty. I don't know how well I did, but it was fun. And as I was getting going, my friend's daughter, she was in 5th grade, and she said to me, "You should ask every person who comes on when they first felt famous." And it was the best question in all the interviews. And now, when you came on, I don't think I had the question yet. I hadn't hung out with the 5-year-olds. Or no, she wasn't 5th grade. 5th grade. Sorry, it's a big difference. So I ask you, when was the first time that you felt famous?
That's a weird question.
There's a lot of different ways to take it. You could take it literally, which is, can I have your autograph?
Yeah.
Other directions, what would you pick?
Yeah, well, if I picked a different direction than that, I guess like my high school honored me years and years ago, like to come back and like the alumni guy that that did well, and the local newspaper did a whole article on me, and my picture was on the in the newspaper, and I was like, well, I don't ever like really feel famous. I mean, maybe noticed, if you will, or something like that. But as far as like famous, it's that's a hard one. I mean, I was at a concert. I went to see some band, and it was like in a big stadium, and I was saying, yeah, I wonder if any of these people, came to the show like that. And the person was with me was like, oh no, no, these people, they don't go to see Elton John like that. And not like 10 minutes later, somebody came up and went, great show last night, man. We really loved you. And I was like,
cool.
This big stadium of like 60,000 people. And I was like, wow, that's weird,
Well, remember when we had you on with Peter Feinstein, he said Bad Religion. What was it? It was Metallica, I think, and Elton John. And that's like all they listened to. Mm. And it was sort of like, really? And he was serious. He was totally serious. So it was funny. Yeah.
I felt famous once when I was checking out of a hotel in Amsterdam, and I was standing at the front desk. And yeah, if you want to talk about being famous in an odd way, I'm checking out. I'm standing at the front desk, and waiting for people in front of me going on. And sir, you owe $43 for your that Pepsi you took out of the minibar, blah blah blah, whatever. And yeah. And I'm standing there, and just as I about to stop and turn around, I feel this guy tap me on the shoulder, and I turn around, and he goes, this big guy goes, great show last night, man. You were it was so great. I was watching you and listening, and man, I really loved every second of it. I look up, and it's James from Metallica.
Oh, wow. Right on.
It took me a second, and I went, oh, wow. I was like, thanks, man. You actually noticed me, on stage. So yeah.
I was stage managing an STP show, and we were opening for Metallica at one of these big festivals. And that feeling when someone big is behind you. And so I'm not a big guy. And I kind of turn around, and it was James Hetfield. And so sorry, am I in your way? And I remember looking at him like, nah.
Yeah, okay. I guess I kind of feel when somebody like that, like when someone that's already famous says something to you like, hey man, I was watching you tonight and it was really loved it, or something like that. No, that's kind of a nice thing. Like I just met Roger Federer in Switzerland, and he was backstage, and there's like, hey man, that was so great. It was really fun watching you up there. And I was like, wow, you're Roger freaking Federer, man.
Yeah.
So it's like that kind of notices you. You go like, okay, maybe I'm doing something right,
Absolutely. Best tennis player in the world right now, I think. So.
I think so.
songs. All right, let's jump down to Mexico. Have we heard of a band called The Warning?
No.
Okay, let's give it a shot. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. I now have a Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Discord, and even a Patreon. The Patreon you can join for as little as $1. The handle on all of them, it's of course, Joel Roadie. I'll see you guys on the next one.